In regards to the recent sanctions over China, over the Uyghur Muslims, you have to understand what an individual of wide wisdom suggested, that if we integrate into someone's cultural values and integrity, we deprive and defame the individuals of voice allegations against individuals. Like with individuals, if you affect or if you affect or insult someone's form of religious self-belief, you resort to defamation of affecting the population of humanity. But religious idol behaviors and the idols that individuals abide to are rules or regulations on how we live our faith and how we live through our cultural values. And everybody's cultural values is all different. Like, we don't understand what individuals with different values, like the Jewish community, the Hinduism, the Taoism, they all have an ideology of representing some form of God, and their God representation is all different, and the ideologies are all different. Like Christianity belief, Hinduism, Buddhism, Taoism, Sikhism, Jewishism, Islam. They all have a statue that they abide to, and they all live by their beliefs and their cultural values. And human beings are not living by these forms of cultural values. And there's something known as freedom of speech. So if you instigate and interrogate an individual based on their disbelief by insulting, but we don't know the authentication of the individual's ideologies that live through their religious beliefs, which would by their teachings, and their teachings is to learn individuals, to teach humanity to respect each other and to look after the environment, as we are globally destroying the environment. And because of this virus has not been really instigated by biological welfare associated with the confrontations and of individual countries due to its import and deportations over different vaccine controls. It's a form of adaptation of a virus on which we are not looking after the earth properly, the planet, the green environment that allowed viruses to thrive and different viruses to engage due to humanity confrontations over religious belief. As there's a proposition associated with the association between religious and scientific behavior, between religion, science, and politics, and how they mix. Is that was God? Did God created the earth, or was this created via science and Big Bang theory? As you have to understand that the sun behaves a bit like a star. Eventually it runs out of hydrogen and helium and deuterium ions, and explodes into a supernova. So you have to understand that was Adam and Eve put first onto the planet, and did Jesus actually get reincarnated? We don't know these stories, but we all know that everybody's values and religion and or self beliefs are all different. And if we're instigating deprivation, defamation upon individuals' self belief, like everybody's community, and insulting community, this will result in unequal unequal opportunities agenda upon people with, as everybody is like it's a human individual race where our genomic sequence is all different, and we all have different emotions, reciprocity, and values, and we all will go through challenges and barriers in this life. So defame an individual, like in what was instigated, like we don't know how Uyghur Muslims betrayal, and we don't know how the Islam community behaves, or we don't know how the Hinduism, because no one's there to integrate into communication where can we share ideologies, values, how we live, because has been an environment that has been susceptible to people with vulnerability. Our ethos and values is not to degrade, defame, or insult, to treat each individual ethically, no matter of their physical, mental capacity. We should treat each other fairly and equally, as everybody is human in this society. to isolate each individual, either due to Oriental, Asian, due to the Black BLM movement. I do understand the ideology, because the ideology is the confrontation of our different values and beliefs, because our agenda and our appearance on the outside, but on the inside, our genomic sequence, our genome, what was cultivated from Charles Darwin theory through the years, has always affected our beliefs and our values and our ideologies on how the culture and how different cultures should integrate into a multicultural society, because individuals are not allowed to improvisation of restricting due to the backlash of individuals that of the ideologies and the brainwash and the radicalizations of that COVID 2019 was caused by Oriental. But is there any authentication or documentation to support this evidence? Is there any evidence to support that how the Islam community behaves and the ideologies of terrorist activity? Because as a wise person used to ensure me and educate me that we should not engage into someone's law. Okay, when we go to a different country, we should abide by the laws and live by their cultural values, because their cultural values is emotion or a daily routine on how people go about their daily routine and lives and how they live their values. And living their values is like either respecting community, respecting each other, not to defame each other, no self-exploitation, political difference, violence in terms of criminal activity, agenda, oppression, corruption, asset control, management, greed. So everybody's values are all different, but they all live by the values of no greed, no hatred, peace, vitality, harmony. So why can't human beings actually integrate to share these ideologies, to understand more, instead of suppressing their values and their prejudice and discriminatory behaviour due to act of violence, due to brainwash of ideologies? Because history only repeats itself if only we let it. We let it. Like war was controlled. World wars and civil wars are always controlled by human agenda, controlling humans, not understanding their values, and the suppression against itineraries and different properties in terms of asset control and greed, and in terms of corruption and wealth that corrupts individuals' mind and capacity. Like this vaccine that has been supplied, that this vaccine is not a race. It's not a race. It's a way to implement a vaccination that can form and reduce suppression of the propagation of the virus through R0, suppressing R0. It's not about which one creates the first vaccine, like Sinovac or Novavax or the Sputnik or the Pfizer or the BioNTech, because everybody should collaborate together to try and reduce suppression of virus. As everybody's sentimentalization and Scientology and their beliefs, some might have not religious beliefs, but I believe this is a test of mankind to test how individuals from all faiths and background can come together to work together to deploy and eventually reduce the suppression of the virus, that hopefully in the long term reduce the eradication of the vaccine through vaccination and antiviral implementations like remdesivir or hydrochloroquine or any others. Or everybody's ideology, man, like no matter BioNTech, no matter Pfizer, no matter what, the deployment of trade wars and sanctions will only increase the hatred upon the agenda and the oppression of inequality of people living in deprivation and poverty, which causes homelessness because of human control of assets. So this is associated with the violence and the instigation of war, of civil war upon people, countries, and the increase in military devices, and increase in military clouds of nuclear warfare and biological warfare, and nuclear warfare associated with radioactive suppression and release that causes exposures of chemicals and radioactive isotopes that are unstable, that causes DNA and RNA altercations in the nucleotide that result in virus and forms of diseases that humans have never faced. So all this is all associated with human hatred, human control and not understanding cultural values and belief. Like Orientals are always known to always support their families and look after their families in terms of their control, but being suppressed by individuals who believe that one agenda is more important than the other due to their other cultural values of supremacy. Like the ideology of Hitler has oppression through poverty to control human mankind and to destroy and have effect on due to the Holocaust that affected the Jewish and the Jewish community as a whole. As I learnt from religion, like a religion or have a self belief of peace, harmony, and to support each one another and humanity in terms of reducing poverty and provide a society that is free from depression, free from diseases. But only this can be supported by through individuals like humanity working together to reduce this happening. Like what was instigated recently, like if you suppress someone due to their ideologies, like one ideology is not better than another. Like as an Oriental have a belief of Hinduism, Taoism, and jade. Like we say we pray to our jade, and I believe our jade will protect us in no matter what. But if we disclose this to individuals who do not believe in jade and they might believe in Hinduism or Taoism or Sikhism or and the others like the Hanukkah or Allah or so they and we integrate with their faiths and say our faith is better than your faith, then this causes war and deprivation upon poverties of individuals. So to understand this more, we have to understand what is religion, and religion is it's a mankind of idolization of a god that we believe in. Like I believe in my jade. I believe in jade, and I will wear my jade, and I believe jade will look after us no matter what. And jade is our representation of God. And some people might not understand this kind of thing and could say that you're being brainwashed by the ideologies. But each individual has a representation of who they have a faith to look after, like the Ten Commandments associated with or Buddhism with the Eight Enlightenments, like Siddhartha associated with Taoism and Hinduism, and Buddhism associated with the Eight Enlightenments. Eight Enlightenments that this rich person had everything in life, and when he went out, he saw so much peace and suffering, and this peace and suffering caused him to understand what was most important in life. So he went to sit under the tree, and he fought for many years to help poverty and deprivation, and he came up with the Eight Enlightenment. Eight Enlightenment is each time you will not eat meat, and you will not be subjected to any sexual violence or ideologies between romance between males and females that results in emotion, depression, poverty, greed, and harmonization. So this individual had so much in life, and he was rich. He decided to understand why human beings were suffering. And another thing, like how Moses went during the plague and took all his people across the arch. On due to this is another theology and ideology which might be true or not might be true due to authenticity, but brought down of the Moses' teaching of the different plagues that affected Israel, and how they took how Moses form a form of leadership to take them across the river Nile, so to safety and peace, and how Noah Ark taught to take all the animals suffering onto the. But we don't know about this religious belief, but these have all been taught by religious followers and forms of individuals due to Scientology, and how numerology is associated with everything's all interconnected. Like there was an individual said that we're all made of energy, and this energy is our form of vibration, and how our vibration is associated with how the world perceives. And if we push positivity or negativity outside, negativity will, because this is another associated with Newton's third law of motion. Every action has a reaction, but in opposition in magnitude and direction. So everything is all interconnected. Like quantum, we're made of packets of energy, and this energy is a vibration, and this vibration is how we reflect ideologies into the world. So if we reflect negativity outside, we will receive negativity back. So if you push a force, for example, a particle, masculine negligence, and you push the force in the direction, in the horizontal direction, it'll push the same with equilibrium, and this equilibrium is associated with the bands of mathematics. So everything's all interconnected. With mathematics, you've got a balance of equilibrium between equations. If the left-hand side is equal to right-hand side, because the left-hand side is not always equal to right-hand side, so there'll be an inequality. So everything's all interconnected. So numerology is associated with the vibrations on how we learn by our values and what personalities and the time, the date we're born, associated with the human beings, what we are, and how Feng Shui is related to the 5 elements of earth, which is earth, fire, water, wood. So this affects us, and this is all the human element. Fire is like heat and energy, water, earth, and that names us. So everything's all interconnected. Like Newton discovered 3 laws of motion, and the first, the second, and the third law, which is the rate of change or momentum, is mv minus mu over t. So force is the rate of change on momentum, which is the acceleration. So everything's all interconnected from the fundamental of calculus, as differentiation associated with the change in position over elongation of time through a small increment in delta. So all this is delta fx minus fh over delta h limit t, h tends to 0. So everything's all interconnected in a way. So how we push our values and our faith towards the universe is what we. So if the ideology is the representation of this antiviral, of this COVID 2019, which is due to its authenticity, is affecting humanity, we are brainwashed by the ideology for the susceptibility of the media exposure, which has an effect on the mental health capacity of the individual, which restricts in forms of acts of aggression, violence, as the individuals on the spectrum associated with dissociative disorder, aggression issues, compulsive disorder, schizophrenia, bipolar personality disorder. So if we are subjecting to negativity this world, the media, that then of this virus and its authenticity, there be further oppression and health and mental problems in globally, as comes in seen from what is happening to America, the segregations of Oriental, the trade wars and sanctions between America and China, the terrorist activities between Islam and the West, and the ideologies of the BLM movement. So what was this caused by? I believe that this is caused by the different vibrations and how we reflect and perceive each other, and the misunderstanding of individuals and individual traits. And what has been taught is that from religious behaviours, that everybody follow different religious beliefs and their beliefs and ideologies. But for one religion, as I can argue that I believe that my jade is more stronger than any Hinduism or Taoism or Jew. But I believe that everybody's following and their cultural values are different, and that we don't, and that Buddhists do not believe in eating meat, and they turn to vegan, as this is affecting humanity, as we believe that animals can sense human beings, and animals are placed on this earth to look after us. But if you instigate that human genomic and viral replications is caused by the adaptations and the evolvement due to the reservoir between animal and human transmission. So if you confuse that animal individuals subjected to virals that are not of human adenovirus or retrovirus or the influenza, but they are not being affected they are not being affected or associated with the removal or the fatalities in the population, in the animal population. So why would humans worry? Because we have lost control of our thoughts, our feelings. We are going too fast. We're not reflecting on our ideologies, our methodologies, and our solutions to support these ideas in general. So this is having an effect, because I believe that observation between observation between animals, between dogs, between birds, between rabbits, between others, I can see that there are no associated deaths and fatalities. So why would humanity worry about a virus so small that is destroying? Because it's due to media exposure and over population, and there's oppression to agenda control due to something known as supply and demand chain. So if you understand this, that the science background between viruses from exosomes is that we have DNA or RNA inside our body's genomic sequence is associated with animal DNA, as animal viruses jump onto humans and they replicate to produce other antigens that infect other host cells. But people's background and misunderstanding in not reflecting on the ideologies, like for example, that dark chocolate can reduce susceptibility of COVID-19, that reduces thrombosis, as warfarin or dark chocolate is known as a blood thinner that reduces in the attack, because individuals are stopped and they've gone too fast. They've been suppressed by the ideology of COVID 2019 that increases in negativity and hatred upon individuals like the Orientals or Asians due to the background or the BLM movement, that kind of thing. So what I instigated was COVID 2019 after a year of research to understand that animal behavior in the reservoir of the animal population has not been affected by COVID 2019. Why would humanity be worried about COVID 2019 itself? Because I believe in the ideologies that religion, and due to my ideology, my perceptions of how I feel is it's the act of God to test how humanity can come together during times of challenges and needs. And I believe in these values that if humanity lives together, no matter of their beliefs, like to Ramadan or to Allah, or what has been happened to the Charlie Hebdo, where people instigating hatred upon of individuals or human beings. We all suffer challenges in life, and we will all face life and death, as this is part of the life cycle. So I believe that through the teachings of religion, through the teachings of science, can come together, or which is all interconnected from individuals due to their vibration. So if we increase our vibration and we increase our respect for humanity, I believe that this virus will dissipate in the future, and no form of antiviral is needed, as I believe that human beings are the best form of healing in the long term. Thank you.